not many of the people here will have seen the film because the premiere is tonight. But I am quite sure that this isn't a problem, and we won't give away too much. But there's still a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to the connection to your previous work. But would you like to just tell the audience a bit about your film? Well, what's it about?
Well, if they haven't seen it, it's probably best not to talk about it.
At all?
No.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, let them see it and then they can judge. And
Okay, I
then,
see.
but there's plenty to talk about without explaining what the new movie is. You know, when you see a new movie, you want to know nothing. The less you know, the better the experience.
I see. Yeah, I guess everybody's read the program magazine. That's what I meant. So yeah. Well, Wiener Dog is a film obviously about a dog. Why did you choose a dog as a protagonist of your new film? Oh, that's in the dark now. Is that better for you?
That's better. Okay. So we're talking about, I thought we were talking about other movies. You want to talk about just Wiener Dog? Because I thought
Yes,
maybe...
we're supposed to talk about Wiener Dog and your other movies, so I thought we'd start it out with the new film and then just connect it to previous work. Is that all right with you? Otherwise,
Yeah, no, I have to go and figure out, and I don't want to spoil anything here, but you know, it's I wanted to make a dog movie, and I remembered I was our Balthazar, and I looked at that movie again, and it's a very oblique narrative. And so that I felt it gave me a certain confidence to have the freedom to structure it the way I did. And yeah, I think I'm being vague enough so it means nothing and spoils nothing.
Obviously, yes.
Okay.
Well, how can I put that without spoil? Well, I'm not going to spoil anything, I guess. Well, Wiener Dog is the title of your film, and Wiener Dog is also the very cruel nickname of Dawn Wiener in your first film, Welcome to the Dollhouse. And you also, we meet Dawn Wiener again in Wiener Dog. Why did you choose to?
Well, if we wouldn't say nickname, we would. That's too nice. But her classmates did sometimes call her that in that movie, and then in Palindromes she was killed, and I always wanted to find an opportunity to offer her another possible life trajectory. Kind of an alternate narrative. We all, I think, wish we could experience different lives, and well, we only have one, and that's something I can do as a filmmaker. I can create other lives and other lives. That is to say, where I can have actors reprise roles, or have other actors take over, and that's something that is that I've played with, and is crystallized at a certain point in this movie.
Yes, that's also a thing you did in storytelling with the characters from Happiness, didn't you?
No, you mean Life During Wartime?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Life During Wartime. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and then even in Palindromes, I had a number of actors playing one character, and then Yeah, so but it's just worked out that way. It wasn't by design or calculation. The next thing I want to do involves nothing from any of my previous movies. So,
okay, I see.
yeah.
And was it, well, a deliberate choice to not have all the actors reprise their roles, but substitute them with
Yeah,
new
you know,
actors?
Heather Matarazzo years ago, because I had there were a few times I'd thought of reprising or bringing her back, but she told me emphatically she never wanted to play that character again. She didn't want to be an Antoine Toinelle for me, and that was very freeing, because by being able to cast other actors, you can bring other color and nuance and meaning that you couldn't do if you had the same actor. But when you have the same actor, what you have instead is the experience of witnessing the progression of mortality. So they're just different experiences.
Okay. Well, just a question into the audience. Are there already questions from your side? Not yet? Okay, well then.
Kind of question.
I'd like also to talk about the music in your films, because I've got the feeling that music plays a quite big role.
Yeah, well, if I had the talent, I'd be a musician. You know, I was absorbed in my adolescence with music, classical music. That was where I spent so much of my time. I'm not sure if that was good for me. I mean, I think today, if I had continued, my mother's still convinced I'd have been the next Vladimir Horowitz. But she was delusional. I had no talent. You know, with music, it's pretty cut and dried early on. At 5 years old, you either have the gift or you don't. Whereas if you're a writer or a filmmaker, it's very different. That process, it's not quite so cut and dried in that sense. Although I've been writing since I'm reading, really, not in any religious sense, but it's been a part of my makeup. It took me time till I found the form and that is most suitable, and which is movies, which I was not a cinephile growing up. I went to movies like any other kid, and saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Sound of Music, but so it wasn't until I went to college that's when I discovered cinema, because when I went, you're too young, you're so young, when I went, they didn't even have the VCR. And so every night of the week they had what were called film societies, and they would project movies. It could be Fassbinder, followed by Maya Deren, followed by Howard Hawks, and every night of the week. And because I was so socially shy, it was a kind of sanctuary for me. And that's how I spent my college years. Now, I didn't even have to understand the movies. I was just ingesting everything. I eventually went to film school.
And if we may return to the subject of music in your films, when you say that, well, you didn't become a musician, but obviously spent a lot of time with music. When writing a film, do you have music in your mind that might match it, or
it depends. It depends. You know, I as a child, as a little boy and adolescent, I was such a snob about music, and I would never listen to anything popular like my siblings listened to. But then I grew up and I outgrew the snobbery, and now I listen to everything. And with movies, sometimes I have a strong sense of what I need, and I know that in advance. Sometimes it's not really until the editing period that I figure it out. Sometimes late, but usually definitely by editing, I figure out what I'm looking for, and my musical background has helped in being able to talk to musicians, yeah.
So the music comes into the process very late?
Or early.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
or in the middle.
So
it really depends. Every time it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had a strong sense about certain things early on, and then other things took more time.
Okay. And how did that work in Wiener Dog? Because you had that one song written about Wiener Dog, the Ballad of Wiener Dog.
That came, well, in the script it really just said doggy montage. And I didn't really know what it was going to be. I had to figure that out. But it's best not to talk too much about it because I don't want to give anything away here.
I was just wondering when
Mark
Shaman, who wrote
Mark Shaman
into the project.
Yeah, Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman. I worked with them before they wrote the title song to Life During Wartime that actually Devendra Banhart covered, and who I also worked with another song in this movie. I also worked for the third or fourth time with Nathan Larson and Nina Persson. She's from the Cardigans, they're married. She's Swedish and he's somewhat Swedish. And they understood my process. So 3 of the 4 composers I worked with were people I had prior experience with. Yeah, it's hard to talk without, I have to talk around.
Let's see, yeah.